When I say the words one-hit wonder, what comes to mind?
Making my way downtown, walking fast, faces pass and I'm homebound.
Man, for you, got what I need. Oh, I swear, I know who I want to take me home. Stacy's mom has got it going on. She's all 'cause I'm just a teenage dirtbag baby.
Okay, so I have an obsession with one-hit wonders, with the concept, with a lot of the songs themselves, why and how they happen, etc. For anyone completely unaware of what I'm talking about right now, a one-hit wonder is basically when a band or a musician has one super popular song, and that's the only song that most people have ever heard by them. You know Bad Day by Daniel Powter?
'Cause you had a bad day, you take one down, you sing a sad
Or Absolutely by 9 Days.
This is the story of a girl who cried a river and drowned the whole world.
What about Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba? I would guess that most people are very familiar with these tracks, they can sing a bunch of the lyrics, but 99% of the people that know these songs would not be able to tell me another song by Daniel Powter, 9 Days, or Chumbawamba. That's what a one-hit wonder is. A more literal definition is that a one-hit wonder is any musician who only has one song break the top 40 within their career. But I have a couple of problems with that. When it comes to less iconic tracks and musicians, it's very possible that people could sneak into the top 40 for 1 week and never be heard from again without a majority of the population even noticing. I'm looking at a Wikipedia list of one-hit wonders right now, and I expected to know every single example from the 2010s, but what in the world is Pray For You by Duran and The Long Road to Love?
I pray your brakes go out running down a hill.
There are probably many examples of songs like this that may technically qualify as one-hit wonders, but they didn't really leave any kind of lasting mark whatsoever. From my perspective, these non-memorable examples don't really count. And then on the other end of the spectrum, some of the most iconic bands and musicians of all time technically qualify as one-hit wonders, and that doesn't really work for me either. Jimi Hendrix with All Along the Watchtower, Grateful Dead with Touch of Grey, Public Enemy with Give It Up, Weezer with Beverly Hills, and the list goes on. I don't know about you, but none of these feel like one-hit wonders to me. And I think that idea of something feeling like a one-hit wonder is a huge part of why people are so obsessed with them. There's something about the musical novelty of these tracks that makes them so fascinating to me. They feel like strange artifacts that you can already see fading into the night while they're still at the height of their popularity. When I was growing up and I heard the song I'm Awesome by Spose, it was a funny track that 13-year-old me had a good time with, but even at the time, there was no part of me that was like, yo, when am I gonna get to hear more Spose? I need more Spose in my life immediately. This kind of thing has happened to me numerous times throughout my life, and I imagine it's been the same sort of feeling for people throughout decades and decades. This is the overtly goofy or extremely bizarre kind of one-hit wonder that entertained people for a little while, but these musicians were never gonna make a career that built off of that one song. Stuff like Barbie Girl by Aqua, the aforementioned Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba, Who Let the Dogs Out by the Baha Men, and more recently, something like What Does the Fox Say by Elvis. P.S. Basically, every single song associated with a dance that you do at weddings and school dances can get thrown in this category too. Think Macarena by Los Del Rio, Teach Me How to Dougie by Cali Swag District, Watch Me by Silento, you know what I'm talking about. But that kind of one-hit wonder makes a lot of sense, right? These catchy, silly tracks are fun for the time that they blow up, and it can be amusing to look back on their short-lived fame, but it's their novelty that gained them that popularity, not the quality of the songs themselves. Also, human beings can be pretty cruel. The explanation of people made fun of it for a little while, then threw it in the trash as soon as they were done with it, is sad, but realistic. So what about the other kind of one-hit wonder? When a musician made a good song, it deservingly blew up, but then they still faded into obscurity even though a ton of people agreed that they were super talented. To give an example, if you're a fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, you know that these soundtracks are incredible, But what I'm guessing most people don't realize is that some of these songs are one-hit wonders, and they're also some of the best songs I've ever heard. Spirit in the Sky by Norman Greenbaum, Ooh Child by 5 Stairsteps, Brandy by Looking Glass. If you're like me, when you heard these songs in the movies, you were thinking to yourself, man, these are some of the legends of the 60s and 70s. But no, Spirit in the Sky and Ooh Child are both on Rolling Stone's list of the greatest songs ever made, so how are these musicians one-hit wonders? If they're talented and people loved the song so much, how come they didn't get a full budding career with a ton of hit songs? And to give you some more examples of this kind of high-quality one-hit wonder, Dancing in the Moonlight by King Harvest, Tainted Love by Soft Cell, Bittersweet Symphony by The Verve, and what I think is one of the best songs of the 2010s, Somebody That I Used to Know by Gautier. How are these songs so good, but that's all people know when we talk about those musicians? I find it hard to believe that every good one-hit wonder musician was just a fluke. They made that one good song and then all their other music paled in comparison. I'm sure that happens, but that can't be the catch-all explanation. I imagine that for a lot of one-hit wonders, it's a perfect storm of complications. People that get too famous too quickly and let the power get to their heads. Musicians that never really wanted fame to begin with, they just wanted to make music, but now their entire lives are dedicated to people yelling at them to play that one song. The pressure of living up to a huge song that was one of the first things they ever released. Naive musicians getting manipulated by record executives that soon lose all their creative thinking. Maybe people just lack that hunger of making another big hit after they finally get one. But here's why I'm making this video. I don't really think that one-hit wonders are a thing anymore, or at the very least, they've been on a sharp decline for the last 5 years or so. This is not my sole evidence, but I think it's worth mentioning that this Wikipedia list of one-hit wonders that I've been looking at stops at 2017, and even this example of Feel It Still by Portugal the Man seems pretty weak when we discuss that feeling of a one-hit wonder. I found another list that says that The Middle by Zedd and Maren Morris is the most recent one-hit wonder, but from my perspective, both Zedd and Maren Morris are pretty ingrained in their respective genres. So what gives? Why is this concept of the one-hit wonder that we know and love disappearing before our very eyes? I think that it comes down to two main things: social media, and the fact that the music industry is basically broken at this point in time. I say social media is a big factor because in this day and age, you can capitalize off of your 15 minutes of fame in a way that simply was not possible 20 years ago. In the age of the internet, we have this weird Black Mirror-esque reality where you can do one thing that can get you a little bit of clout, and boom, hundreds of thousands of supporters that you can update and stay in touch with every single day with the click of a button. Just think about it. If you were a one-hit wonder before social media existed, you didn't really have control over how the general viewing public perceived and interacted with you. Hopefully your label did enough to market you and get you TV and radio appearances, but for so many musicians, their labels weren't doing enough. Now with social media, you can take that 15 minutes of fame and nurture the supporters you get from it. You can keep them entertained, you can play them snippets, you're showing them your personality, you're creating a deeper bond with them than any of the one-hit wonders in the 90s did with a few Instagram stories alone. You know Designer, the guy that made Panda? That's one of the more prominent examples of a recent one-hit wonder, but Designer is doing great right now. I haven't heard any music he's dropped in years, but the guy has 2.5 million followers on Instagram. He has endorsements, he has sponsorships, but more importantly, he has a strong fan base of people that will continue to keep up with him and then support whatever he's putting out. And that idea of fans being able to support you is a good transition into the music industry being absolute chaos. Besides social media sponsorships or musicians selling merch, whatever, the concept of streaming has given power to the people and musicians in a way that has never been seen before. If I was musically talented, I could make a hit song from my bedroom, get it on streaming services in a shockingly short amount of time, and who knows, it could go viral, have 1 million streams within the next few days, I get millions of followers on social media, and boom, I'm a pop star. That level of autonomy, that level of musicians being able to put their music out there, and fans being able to support that musician is incredible. That is a new thing that straight up did not happen before. So this is what I'm talking about. For any musician that could have and probably should have been a one-hit wonder within the last few years, they can not only survive off of that one song now, but they can continue to thrive with the help of the internet. When it comes to the novelty songs that I talked about before, Barbie Girl, Tub Thumping, Who Let the Dogs Out, you know what word we use instead of novelty now? They're memes, and you know that people can make careers off of memes right now. Old Town Road is the biggest song the world has seen in a long time, and Lil Nas X has a fully functioning, fully operational career off of his novelty song that truly feels like a weird one-hit wonder, and it certainly could have been one in a different time. And when it comes to non-meme one-hit wonders, the ones that are just high quality, I can't even give you possible modern examples because that's just not a thing anymore. Because one, these bands could survive on their own by just putting out their stuff on streaming services and getting that support from social media, or two, now that the music industry is so robotic and brand heavy that if you do choose that route, the second you strike gold, there's a whole team of people dedicated to keeping your success alive. Sure, record labels of the past wanted their one-hit wonder musicians to make more hits, but in the age of the internet, it's a science now. It's algorithms and people manufacturing their success. Everything's fake and none of it matters anymore, and at the same time, everything is also extremely authentic and it's better than ever. We live in a weird time. So what do you think? Are one-hit wonders gone for good? Yeah, I'm sure that there can be examples of somebody making a track that gets into a big Spotify playlist and then they can't make a career out of it, but in general, is that concept of the one-hit wonder that we know and love, is that disappearing? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Hey, thank you for watching that video. If you want to support the channel, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. You can follow me on social media at RenshawHS. You can buy my merch, support my Patreon, and thank you again. I'll see you soon.